Welcome back. Welcome back to the stream. Woo, we got us a interesting one today to start off with. There is a breaking news. Let's put up the thing. Boom, breaking news, because it says breaking news right above me, so that must mean that there's some breaking news here, but yeah, we had ourselves a weekend here in the pro wrestling universe. For those who may not know, for those who may not be familiar, over the weekend, and even a little bit before that, we'll dive into the specifics. But there have been a heck of a lot of releases, a good scoop of releases. Has some mixed reactions. It has some mixed reactions in terms of whether this was shocking, whether this was predictable, whether people care, whether they don't. It kind of goes both ways for a lot of superstars. So we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna really kind of recap the Twitch universe here of what went down over the weekend. So it is Sunday. It is February 9th, 2025. So as of now, it seems like we've gotten the releases out of the way, because they kind of kept shuffling in a couple here and there. I think it was Friday night. Friday night was the most that we got, and then yesterday we got a couple new names, and then there was also a name that we left off the list. So let's dive into it. Let's see what's going on with what is what. So we have our complete list, released from WWE in 2025 so far. This is from Sportskeeda. WWE kicked off the new year with a successful Royal Rumble PLE. Road to WrestleMania begins. However, mass development shocked fans. A number of WWE superstars, including Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, released from their contracts, become a major talking point. So let's dive into it. So this is number one, who this was before the weekend, I believe. This was a couple days or a day or two before Friday. Oh, actually, February 3rd. So if we look at our calendar here, yeah, that was actually last Monday. Excuse me. Yeah, that was the start. I realized. So yeah, Duke Hudson from Chase U on NXT got released, and this one came as a bit of a surprise for me. I wasn't quite expecting Duke Hudson to get the axe. I thought he was doing great. He had just won the tag team championship with Andre Chase. Short lived. No, I'm sorry. Excuse me. That was that was Rich Holland. I apologize, but either way, he was still a crucial member of Chase U, whether he had tag team gold or not. Okay, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Was he did win tag team gold with Andre Chase in 2022? That's what I was confusing myself with. Not the most recent Chase U tag team championship. That would have been Andre Chase and Rich Holland, but still, he still played an integral role, and I thought he was a fantastic in-ring performer. And yeah, we found out last Monday that he got the axe. There was a bit of a, there was a bit of a video that he released. It was kind of a very fourth wall breaking. He was interviewing himself about the release.
This really was more of a we hate you.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, go check it out, because it's pretty funny. It's lighthearted, it's obviously very self-aware, but it's nothing bad, I would say. So apparently he was actually released in January. So I think this plays in hand with how Chase U ended, with Rich Holland defeating Andre Chase for, I guess, the rights of Chase U, to which Rich Holland disbanded Chase U. So we're kind of waiting to see what happens in the development of that. I know Thea Hale has been a little MIA recently. Apparently, actually, she was at the most recent last night NXT house show. So there was a couple fan pictures shot and made their way onto X, and we got to see Thea Hale perform in ring. So apparently she's coming. This could lead to her coming back. I know we've seen Andre Chase in the background of a lot of backstage segments. He had one here and there. I'm still wondering what's going on with him. I know his last cinematic promo or video package that they did with him had him walking down the hallway with his box, and then all of a sudden there was like a hey, Mr. Chase.
Hey, Mr. Chase.
I'm wondering who that is, where that's leading to, because as of right now, Andre Chase is kind of like down in the dumps. So Duke Hudson being released back in January kind of lines up with them disbanding Chase U. So all this to say, I guess, is the future of Chase U still remains unknown. From a television aspect, Thea Hale has been MIA. Andre Chase had like a tag team match. He walked out of it. Still up in the air. But Thea Hale should be making a return back to NXT sometime soon. Possibly this upcoming week on Tuesday, but we'll see. So then we have Blair Davenport. Came as a shock. So I feel bad for Blair for not quite getting that opportunity I feel like she could have gotten. There was the ever so slightest bit of momentum that I guess she could have gotten, but never quite found her footing in terms of what WWE wanted to essentially creatively do with her. She was kind of in a mix with like this Naomi beef and kind of got into like a trio ship with Isla Dawn, who, as we can see at the next spot here, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, the unholy union, right? They try to do something very brief with them as a trio, and honestly, I feel like it didn't land because there just wasn't, I feel like they just never gave us enough time for it to really stick. I feel like the Blair Davenport unholy union, alliance wasn't like something that fans immediately dismissed, but it never got its footing, and I feel like it just was never driven. Take PFC, for instance, which we're going to get into, but Pure Fusion Collective, right? You have Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and Sonya Deville, who was also released. They're a trio who, they did not receive the biggest pop when they debuted as a trio. What PFC did was they kept giving us PFC, right? PFC forced its way into a rivalry with Damage Control, with Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane, and all this stuff. But like with Blair Davenport, if they wanted to do anything with the Holy Union, Isla Dawn, Alba Fire, they left it for like a week or two and then nothing. So yeah, there was also something I noticed about this too with Blair Davenport specifically was this one stings a little bit more too, because in WWE's vlog on YouTube about like the backstage behind the scenes of this most recent Royal Rumble that just passed, you can see Blair Davenport backstage giving I think it's Nikki Bella a hug.
Yes, thank you so much.
She's on camera and it's just like, damn, like almost like barely a week later, she gets released, and you can't help but feel a little bad in that regard. And one thing I want to make clear from the get-go here is that all of this is speculation, right? As of right now, I haven't seen any actual feasible reports of anything of why these superstars have been released, whether this was something that they had asked for. The most recent one was Isla Dawn. As of yesterday, we found out in the beginning of yesterday, she posted on Instagram on her story, I think it was like something like "here for a good time, not a long time," hashtag see you in 90, indicating that, she has like a 90-day obligation. I forget what they call it, but it's like a 90-day no contact clause or something like that, basically meaning that she can't wrestle or be a part of any other promotion until those 90 days after her contract releases up. We'll see what happens after that. Maybe she goes to, AEW or TNA even. So, and I know there's kind of a weird gray area with like the TNA WWE partnership, but there can still be something there, right? Like you still have Nick Nemeth, who formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, who's on TNA, but I'm curious to see, because he was already on TNA when WWE signed the partnership with NXT and TNA. So I'm wondering how it might work now. Yeah, I mean, with Isla Dawn, it's just one of those things too where I'm glad, her and Alba Fire got their moment at, what was it, Clash at the Castle or something? Clash at the Castle. They won the women's tag team titles there before losing it to Bianca and Jade. I can't say that their title run was the most magnificent title run, nor does it have to be, but I guess I'm wondering, I was like, so they axed Isla Dawn, but they kept Alba Fire. So I'm kind of curious. So WWE Hall of Famer Paul Ellering here also got the axe. And spoiler alert, but AOP to his left and right did as well. He made a tweet at WWE yesterday. The clouds covered the bright sun. The sun shines on a clear and robust future. Hashtag AOP, the most precious one. Hashtag Mega. They kept Scarlett, they kept Karrion Kross, but they got rid of basically the trio here. So Common Razar, authors of Pain, got got released. It's pretty short and sweet to that. After being released by the company in 2020, they returned to WWE as part of the Final Testament in 2022. It wasn't landing, and I kind of spoke about this too, but it really comes down to I feel bad for them, because I feel like if there was a sliver of chance that they had, it was with the Wyatt 6 rivalry that was building up, and I don't feel like it was completed. It left off with Karrion Kross getting the victory over Uncle Howdy, and there is an injury reported within the Wyatt 6. It might be Uncle Howdy himself, but I still feel like there could have been momentum, but Wyatt 6 went over to SmackDown. Final Testament remained on Raw, so I guess if there was any red herring indication that there was going to be a release for anyone in the Final Testament, it would have been that. So I wish we would have gotten to see more of them. However, it's one of those things that we'll never get to see how that really could have played out. I refuse to believe that that the Wyatt 6 get defeated over the Final Testament. It's not even like a good guy bad guy thing. I just think that when the Wyatt 6 debuted, there was a bit of a back and forth going on with American Made and the Wyatt 6. So I feel like they could have done something very similar with that. Cedric Alexander, yeah, that's another one where, it is what it is. I have a pretty obvious guess as to where he's going to go after this. So I think he's got a 90-day clause as well. But I feel like right after that 90-day clause, AEW is just going to scoop him up in order to keep the Hurt Syndicate, right? So, he was part of the Hurt Business when Hurt Business was on WWE. But now that Hurt Business is the Hurt Syndicate on AEW, it just makes sense that Cedric Alexander is going to be picked up by AEW just to get that full-fledged Hurt Syndicate over there. So that's where I'm placing my bets on. So yeah, there really wasn't a role for him lately. He tried playing like the coach or something of Javon Evans on NXT, but it just really wasn't landing. You could do without it. He didn't necessarily need to be there. So this one kind of strikes me as, damn, bro, Giovanni got shafted. So with Giovanni Vinci, he joins forces with Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther in NXT to form Imperium, right? They're a dominant force in NXT. They make their way into WWE. Then all of a sudden, Ludwig Kaiser betrays Giovanni Vinci all of a sudden, takes essentially Giovanni Vinci out for like a couple months. We start to see these video promo packages on SmackDown of teasing a Giovanni return. We're kind of excited because Giovanni's not terrible. He's pretty good. And he comes back, loses in a 5-second match. 5-second match. And at first we're like, okay, what the was that? But it was also funny. And then they do it again. And you're like, okay, is this going to be his stint? Is he going to be the guy who comes back, loses in these 5-second matches for the Yucks, and then that's all there is to him? Apparently so, because there wasn't much left after that. The final paragraph here. After being kicked out of the faction in 2024, numerous video packages of Vinci were featured on TV, which made fans believe that the company had something big planned for him. However, after suffering a few embarrassing losses on TV, Vinci was released by the company. That's really all there was to it. Why bring him back? If you were going to write him off, or if you were going to release him, why not have had the chance to write him off when Ludwig Kaiser took him out? Because he took him out. We didn't see him for months. And then you tease his return. It doesn't make sense to me. So yesterday we got Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the Good Brothers, like AOP. They got released 2020. They came back 2022. They aligned with AJ Styles to form a dominant faction. Phenomenal one, AJ Styles, focused on his singles career. The duo really couldn't do much after that. Once AJ Styles really kind of split into a solo path, which he should, it left them kind of in a weird place with like NXT and then in between the main roster. It was weird. Sonya Deville was the other one here that got released. So this was one that Pure Fusion Collective, I feel like out of all of them, Sonya got the X. I find that weird. This is where I'm speculating that maybe she had asked for a release. I don't have many facts to go on, but it's just one of those, hey, I don't quite understand this. So, this is new too. So apparently also a non-wrestler, video editor for their social medias. Up until Wednesday, I was a video editor for their social medias. Out of nowhere, they called me about some budget cuts, terminated my contract early. I'm heartbroken. I've been a huge fan. This was my dream job. My desk was decked out, and I was so proud of my job. This is just me ranting and looking for support from the community I've been a part of, I guess. Hopefully better things are coming. Yeah, it kind of sucks to see, right? With the wrestler releases, it's you hear Triple H talk about this like all the time, but it's that's how the business goes a lot of the time, is that, hey, there are going to be releases. Not everyone gets to say. The biggest thing coming out of this is that people are assuming, and I think rightfully so, that we're getting some NXT call up soon. I mean, like, the biggest name here for me is like Roxanne Perez. I think it's almost but like pen to paper official that Roxanne is called up. She's already being advertised. She already has an Elimination Chamber qualifying match on Raw. I feel like she's going there soon. So I really feel like we're gonna get some call ups here. I'm itching for Fraxium to get their call up, but right now they're hot with the tag team titles. They've been going back and forth with TNA, NXT. So Ethan Page, as much as I would love to see him called up, they're doing this thing with Javon Evans. Maybe we wait for that to play out before he gets called up. But I'm hoping that he's the next round to get called up. Jakara Jackson with Lash Legend, I would love to see called up as a tag team. I really feel like they're super worthy of the actual tag team titles, so maybe they're part of the call up. Roxanne, I think she's the most obvious for sure. She might even win elimination. I forgot who her match is against. It's Roxanne and Raquel. Yeah, Roxanne is actually probably just going straight to the Elimination Chamber, so that's gonna be insane. That's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great push for her. Trick Williams is probably getting called up, but I think he's gonna lose to Obafemi, of course, and then I think he's going to get called up. So I think Roxanne for sure, Trick Williams for sure. I'd love to see Ethan Page. Don't know how sure I am about that. So I think confidently for sure we're getting Trick Williams and Roxanne. But again, that's 2 out of the 11. Yeah, so this is pretty much all we've got in terms of releases. I think it's calmed down now, 1:18 p.m. here, and so far there hasn't been any news on X about any more releases. It does kind of, ideally what I was getting at was, this is where my question, my main thoughts, my main feelings on this for a lot are why. A lot is why. And it really only pertains for just a couple of these guys, but like I think it's just the biggest one. So for specifically Blair Davenport and Giovanni Vinci are like the biggest whys for me. Giovanni Vinci, I already mentioned, why tease his return, why have him come back if you're just going to put him in 5-second laugh matches where he loses. And more specifically, why are we calling up people from NXT if we're just not utilizing them, if we have no plans for them? I don't understand. And it's not even like a reception thing, right? Like, okay, they call up Blair Davenport, and yeah, she's not getting wowed by the crowd. She's not getting, the crowd's not getting over with her, by any means at all. I'm not here defending that Blair Davenport should be over with the crowd and wasn't given a chance. I'm just saying, it's like, if you can kind of gauge the scope of her character in NXT, but it's just going to be like, why are we calling them up if we have no plans for them? Why are we bringing back Vinci if we have no plans for him? It just doesn't make sense to me. Just release them. It is what it is. It's a bit of a head scratcher that I just can't really explain. It comes down to, that's how the business goes. These are one of the things that as fans we may never understand unless there really is some whistleblowing or someone decides to pull a CM Punk and just pipe bomb. If they do this to Roxanne, it's gonna be a travesty. It's gonna be an absolute travesty. As much as I love this era of WWE that we're in, I will say that the thing that gets me every time is the lack of utilization towards certain stars. There has to be the mid cards, there has to be the openers, there has to be the dark matches, right? The speed champions or whatever. But yeah, this is turning into like another tangent, by the way, but it applies to like Blair's case, to Vinci's case. They're just left in the dust, and then it's like, oh well, I mean, they're not over with the crowd, and they don't really get a good reception. Well, because they never have TV time, they never have any televised matches, and if they do, Dragon Lee is getting outshined by Rey Mysterio, who's already a 2-time Hall of Famer, who we already know is really good. Why is Rey Mysterio in the Elimination Chamber qualifying match over Dragon Lee? Like, Dragon Lee can get the axe any day, and it's going to be like, oh, well, he was never good on TV or anything, because he never got the chance to be good on TV. We give him a promo package sometime like last year, and then nothing. nothing comes out of it. It becomes like the head scratcher / a little slight frustration when you're like, when you see these things and you're like, damn. And I just feel like a lot of the times they're going to get released and we never got to see how great they could have been. So I don't know. It'd be an entirely different story if we gave these guys TV time and they weren't good. If we're just not even giving these guys the chance to even try, why call them up? Why bring them back? Just write them off. You know, it like, I don't know.